Throughout this election cycle, the Democratic Party has consistently turned their backs on progressives and has given us the middle finger at basically every point in time. Hillary Clinton had the chance to make her pitch to us, and all she said was that she's winning and we have no choice to vote for her. The only other option is Trump. So at every turn, they had assumed that we would fall in line if she does in fact win the nomination. Now, after a new Bloomberg poll reveals that only 55% of Bernie Sanders supporters will actually back Hillary Clinton, well, now they're beginning to pay attention. Now, just to remind you, one poll showed that only 25% of Bernie Sanders supporters wouldn't back Clinton, and another poll showed that 33% won't support her. So now, at 55%, this is the highest poll yet. So in that poll, 22% of Bernie Sanders supporters say they'll vote for Trump, and 18% say they'll vote for Gary Johnson. So this to me is really frustrating because they don't even know that we have another option who's identical to Bernie Sanders, Jill Stein. But this is really an indictment on the media because even though they'll cover Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton and even Gary Johnson to a higher extent than Jill Stein, people don't know that there is someone like Bernie Sanders that they can vote for if they are Bernie or bust. So instead, they're just voting for Trump and Gary Johnson. And even though I like Gary Johnson and I agree with him on the majority of issues, he's a libertarian. He's the polar opposite of Bernie Sanders on many different topics. So it's really frustrating that people don't even know about Jill Stein. Now, in this article, they discuss the poll as well as conversations they had with 24 Bernie Sanders supporters, and this is what they said when they were asked if they'd support Clinton. "I will absolutely never vote for Clinton. I'm going to vote for Jill Stein." Another said, "There's 0% chance that Hillary Clinton could ever get my vote. She's a corporate candidate. I don't vote for corporate candidates. I don't do the lesser of two evils." Another person said, "You're choosing between fascism and oligarchy." One person equated the choice between Clinton and Trump as choosing to die by quicksand or die by a bullet. So yes, people have strong feelings and they will not fall in line and support Hillary Clinton come November. Now look, I'm being fair here. I think that Hillary Clinton and the Democrats rightfully think that we're going to fall in line because in 2008, a large portion of Hillary Clinton supporters, about 40 to 45%, considered themselves Puma, which means party unity my ass. They claimed that they would not support Obama if he was the nominee. But in the end, we all know that they ended up coalescing around Barack Obama, even though Hillary Clinton lost. But this is a miscalculation, and we're not going to just fall in line like Hillary Clinton supporters, because unlike the sheep that they are, we prioritize policy above the candidates. Bernie Sanders supporters, by and large, are policy wonks. So they actually support the policy positions of the candidate and not the candidate's celebrity status. So Hillary Clinton supporters, when you talk to them, they can't name a single issue where Hillary Clinton is better than Bernie Sanders or more progressive or liberal than Bernie Sanders, with the exception of gun reform. And if you really try to press them and ask them why they think Hillary Clinton is better, why wouldn't they vote for Bernie Sanders if they agree more with him than her, they'll say, well, she's more experienced, she's more electable, when in actuality, that's not really true because she's not more electable because Bernie Sanders polls better than her in hypothetical matchups against Trump. And furthermore, experience doesn't mean that you have good judgment. With all the experience Hillary Clinton's had, we have evidence that she has horrible judgment. So look, Hillary Clinton supporters and Bernie Sanders supporters, the difference is like night and day. They may be liberal, but Hillary Clinton supporters, they don't really understand the nuance of economic policy, of foreign policy. They care about social issues, and since Hillary Clinton pays lip service to them because of that and makes them believe that she's better on LGBT rights and whatnot and criminal justice, well, they support her because who else are you going to pick? A Republican who's crazy? So, no, it is not safe to assume that we are like Hillary Clinton supporters. We are nothing like her supporters, and no, we will not fall in line. Now, suddenly, the Democratic establishment is actually realizing this because it's been about 2 weeks since Hillary Clinton officially became the presumptive nominee. But we're still not falling in line. In fact, if anything, polls are getting worse for her. Now, this Bloomberg poll shows that 55% of us won't support her. So now they're getting a little bit scared, and they're starting to pay attention. So CBS News writes, House Democratic leaders are worrying about the role Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders still has left to play in the general election, even as they insist that their party will unite behind presumptive Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton. Shortly after meeting with Clinton on Capitol Hill Wednesday, party leaders were asked whether it's a big problem for Democrats that Sanders still has yet to endorse Clinton, and that a recent poll indicated that many Sanders backers remain on the fence about supporting her. This is a problem for the party, South Carolina Democratic Representative Jim Clyburn said at a press conference. I would love to see Mr. Sanders endorse, go all in, and I think he will. Clyburn said he believed Sanders will announce his endorsement in the not-too-distant future. So, in other words, they're afraid now, but they're still not getting it. They think that our vote for Hillary Clinton will be contingent on a Bernie Sanders endorsement. So, as soon as Bernie Sanders says, I officially endorse Hillary Clinton, we're going to be like sheep and just fall in line and be like, oh, okay, well, now we can support her because Bernie Sanders says we can. I love Bernie Sanders. I've got nothing but love for Bernie Sanders, but his endorsement has no bearing on my vote whatsoever. I will not support Hillary Clinton regardless if she picks Elizabeth Warren as her VP, regardless if Bernie Sanders endorses her and gives her a ringing endorsement and just praises her nonstop. That's not going to work. I will be voting for Jill Stein. I've made up my mind. Many Bernie Sanders supporters have made up their minds, and we're not going to coalesce behind Clinton. I'm sorry, but they don't get it. They really don't get it. So CBS News continues, questioned whether there was anything Clinton could do to encourage Sanders supporters, California Democratic Representative Xavier Becerra said the presumptive nominee addressed the issue during their meeting. She's going to go out there and talk to everyone in America, Becerra said. Not just Sanders supporters, but she's going to talk to those who aren't supporting the Democrats, because as she said, she's going to be president for everyone. He expressed his faith that Sanders backers would eventually turn to Clinton in the general election. Quite honestly, I believe not just Senator Sanders, but Senator Sanders' supporters, as we get closer to November, will look closely at this race and make some really strong decisions to support the most qualified person to be president, Becerra said. So in other words, no. Hillary Clinton will not be trying to court us over. Instead, she's launching a Republicans for Hillary initiative, and this endeavor has been a complete failure. Just to give you an example, so the Republicans for Hillary Facebook page doesn't even have 1,600 likes. The Humanist Report Facebook page actually has double that, and the newest comment from Georgia says, and so-called Republicans that would vote for a lying, traitorous, cheating, Muslim-loving, murdering bitch. Georgia has no chill, but basically, the point is that this isn't working. Republicans do not like Hillary Clinton. They've only been criticizing her for the last 8 years. I mean, come on. Now, other Democrats contend that we will fall in line once they really highlight the differences between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. But I'm sorry, but we already know the differences between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. The difference is marginal. Slight differences. They're both dangerous, but in different ways. Now, House Minority Whip Steny Hoyer, for example, implied that we're going to fall in line because the only other option is Donald Trump, so we're going to be forced to acquiesce behind Clinton. No, the other options are very clear. It's going to be Jill Stein. So the conclusion is that now they finally realize that there's a problem, but they still can't adequately diagnose it, and they certainly don't have a prescription for it. So if they don't wake up and realize that we don't want Hillary Clinton, well, look, they're going to learn the hard way in November if she loses. So it's really frustrating that they still don't get it after all this time. When we say we're not voting for Hillary Clinton, when we say we're never Hillary, we mean it. And that 55%, I'm actually surprised it's not higher. So look, it depends on the poll, but there's a very large portion of Bernie Sanders supporters who will not be supporting Clinton. That's clear. Some will fall in line, many won't. And if that's the case, that's detrimental for Clinton.